Good
Niko
morning to
salama.
all people that are listening to us. Niko salama kabisa, nashukuru Mungu.
So mimi kando, leo show ni yako na nimekuachia.
Ai. Asante sana, tunashukuru. Hope everyone can hear us very loud and clear from wherever they are. And hopefully they are enjoying I don't know if it's called the end ama kwao kuna kunyeshi. Basi tunashukuru kuna ubaridi kidogo na unyevu kidogo. As of today, we agreed we'll look at gender-based violence, various forms of the violence in terms of what when we are talking about GBV, what do we mean? Because there are quite a number of things around gender-based violence. So we look at all the forms of gender-based violence and just dive into various critical aspects of it, and also be able to delve into more specifically in sexual harassment at your workplace, because sexual harassment mostly it works at in the office setting, and what kind of other things that are involved around that. And some of the things of violence, I know some of the people don't consider those as a violence, but clearly it is, because you're being deprived of your rights, and to be able to access to certain things is also a challenge. So that's some of the key things that do exist. And then we'll look at the aspect in terms of, because I know some of your participants are online, they come from a family setting, they're having their dating and they have kids in the house, or they're married, they're parents, they have kids in the house, and quite a number of these violence or abusive kind of households is happening, taking place, so they can be able to see that. So we'll look at our little ones in the houses, because they are invisible spectators in that house. How does it affect them psychologically? And how does it build them up to become better people in the society? Or how does it clearly, when they get to 18, become adults at the age of 18, how does it mold them? How do they react? What are the kind of activities they do while at that tender ages? And then just try and look at during COVID time. COVID has also, it's one of the confounding factors that has really increased the pandemic, on the endemicity of the abuse within the families, within their households, within intimate relationships. So we'll also be able to look at that. So just to open up to what we need to ask ourselves, just take a second or 5 seconds to think through yourself and ask yourself, what do you understand yourself by gender-based violence? When you think of gender-based violence, what do you understand by it? Do you streamline it or try and put it just on one gender, like you say gender-based violence is purely something that is entitled to the female only? Is it something that you as an individual, you look at it, it's entitled to only the male, the young girls within the community? But when you look at gender-based violence, it's an entirety kind of concept, that it looks at the violence directed against a person because of the person's maybe gender, and that violence that affects the person's particularly gender disproportionately, because you might be being discriminated in different ways. Your rights are being withheld in different ways. You're being deprived of certain access to certain civil rights that are things that you need to look at. And we are going to look at various forms of gender-based violence. And if you are listening to us, you can go ahead and just, what are these kind of types of gender-based violence? You can just type online, for us there. What are these types of gender-based violence that you are aware of? Yeah.
That's a question to you, guys. It's a
What
question
are
to you.
gender-based violence that you are aware of? what are kind of this gender-based violence that you are aware of? Because we have there are different variants of that, and they cut across various things. We want to ask ourselves, what are these types of GBV? You know,
Mm.
and for me, I'll start as you are typing down. I'll start with the what she would has come up across and say the physical violence. What do you mean by physical violence? Physical violence includes the things like you being someone like either the man or a woman in the house of being beaten up, someone
Mm.
biting you, someone kicking you, someone punching you, someone biting you, maiming you, or killing you, and the use of objects or weapons.
Mm.
Someone
Mm.
taking a belt, beating you up, someone taking a sufuria, hitting you up, a pan, someone pouring hot water on you. Those are physical violence, things that you
Mm.
can clearly see them. You can see and attribute them to, maybe I have a cut, I have
Mhm.
burn, you know, there's a
Mm.
homicide, someone is dead, you
Yeah.
know. And some of these, we also look at some of these when talking about physical violence. So it is also some of these classifications that you have heard of, so many cases whereby people are being shipped from one country, mostly West African countries, across the Antarctic or the Atlantic Ocean, and being ferried to another country, the Arabic country, and in the process they die. You know, so also human trafficking and slavery is form of physical violence. Yeah, because it is initially oftenly dealt with coercion, because you've been coerced, you've been told you're going to find greener pasture. You've been
Mm.
coerced to go to those places. And the people
Mm.
involved often end up becoming victims of further violence as a result of their enslavement. You know, then we look at these kind of physical violences. We have seen it all over social media, our mainstream media, reports on people in the Arabic countries being physically tortured and enslaved within those households where they're working. So you find that these kind of ideas and kind of activities, kind of scenarios that are taking place. So these individuals are in a position to see clearly, yes, I was coerced to go to Saudi Arabia. I got there. Now I am prone to being victimized or enslaved in that household. Physical violence is also an act of attempting to cause or resulting in pain or physical injury. As we look at all forms of violence, the main aim of these perpetrators is not only like in terms of not only or may not always be to cause physical harm, but they also just want to limit you to have that self-determination.
Mm. Yeah.
They want to lower down and kill your self-esteem,
Mm.
because you should not be in a position to like talk yourself, to really express yourself, and be in a position to ask yourself and tell yourself, I can be able to do this. Because if you are self determined, your self esteem is high, then you can be able to say no and
Mm.
your foot down, be in a position to get out of that kind of enslavement, kind of
Mm.
oppression that be happening.
Yes.
And not always, when you find even in a relationship, physical violence, these perpetrators, they always send up a very clear message to their victims.
Mm.
I can
Mm.
do things to you that you do not want to happen. Shasikia ule mtu anakuthreaten, anakuambia nitakufanyia kitu moja hautainisahau maishani. you
Mm.
know
Mm.
because it's a clear message that is being sent. I can do these things to you. Yeah, some of them, because they're coming from these well-off known family, they'll tell you, I will do this to you and there's nowhere you can take me.
Mm.
you know Nitakufanyia kitu but hakuna pe utanipeleka. Ati wapi? Kwa usies Kilimani. Usies Kilimani ni best yangu, mi uenda naye kukunywa naye pombe. Usies Kilimani, ati DCI ni best ya Buda, hao wanaendanga kucheza golf pamoja.
Mm.
That those things whereby there's nothing that the They are proud of they have that pride in what exactly they're doing. Okay? And such violences, they demonstrate differences of social power. Social power. Social
Mm-hmm.
power. Social power is one of the key things that when you look at, you will ask yourself, when a man or a woman has that power, they will always do everything in that house to ensure, demean you, to take all the power that you have from you, to lower
Yeah.
down your self-esteem. And normally, we have these most of these things that are happening when it comes to differences of social power is coercion plays the biggest role in it. And that is where we say there are quite a lot of other things that we really need to look at and be able to ask ourselves, where can we do things in a different way? Then we also ask ourselves, how do we, and most of the time, how do we refer, like in terms of physical violence? And most of the time, physical violence will always be referred to like intimate relationship violence, or rather domestic violence, because it is endemic. It is endemic in our households. It is endemic in our culture. As we had touched on it yesterday, some
Mm,
of our cultural practices do not allow you, when you're being violated in your own household, you run to your mother.
mm,
Your mother will tell you, even mi nilikuwa napigwa na baba yako na nikavumilia, unaona nimewalea.
mm,
No? But you ask yourself, during their time, what was it that was putting these people together? The economic times, are they the same as the times of our forefathers and our parents?
mm.
The cultural values of the time, is it the same as our foreparents? You know, so
Yeah.
times have changed, and if you can't be happy in a situation, in that family setup, in that household, if you're not happy in that relationship, there is no way you'll tell me a single slap today will not occur in the next 5 years,
Mm,
in the next 1 week, in the next
mm,
1 minute, in the next an hour. This thing will happen. So physical violence is very, very, very rampant across. And that is some of the key things that we also ask ourselves. Then, how do we control these forms of physical violence? Because
mm,
it's easy to notice physical violence because you can see it. Some people are very short tempered, some people are very easily to get annoyed, some people are very reactionary, you know, they don't take a step back and ask themselves, okay, wait, what did I do? Because always that in that form is, I blame
mm,
you, I blame you, Nyawira, you did ABCD. But
mm,
then you forget to ask yourself, am I a contributor to it?
mhm.
You know, because at all the times, it is not only one sided.
Yeah.
There is something that you did to trigger the physical violence.
Yeah.
And at the same time, are you obligated to go ahead and violate someone's rights physically?
Mm,
So those are some of the key things that we ask ourselves, and we'll come back and ask ourselves, how can we be in a position also to provide mitigation? One of the other things that I think across all the what people have say shared and have shared along the types of violence, we also need to ask ourselves: there's verbal violence,
mm,
and verbal violence is one of the key thing. And according to our culture, they say verbal violence is harmless.
mm. Yeah. Yes.
They say it's harmless,
Mm,
but look at it in this sense. I keep on telling Nyawira every day, you're not beautiful. I don't know why even I married you.
mm,
First of all, I'm lowering your self-esteem. I'm
mm,
stepping on it. You will not feel beautiful enough to get out of that house. You'll get
Mm.
stressed, you'll get depressed. The next thing is suicide.
Yeah.
So, however, we say when these attacks become regular and systemic and purposefully targeted at someone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they always target your sensitive spots. Now, the objective of the attacks now, we will consider themselves as the victims of verbal abuse because the individuals will be victims of verbal abuse. Clearly, you're violating this person through your harsh and targeted words, and you're doing that intentionally, purposefully.
Mm.
Or you're not beautiful. Or
Mm.
when you speak, why do you keep on shrubbing? You know,
Mm.
no, you have a very pathetic diction to your language. You're at a workplace, your boss tells you, you're so pathetic on your grammar. I don't even think you'll ever change.
Mm.
You know, those are clear indications of verbal abuse or rather verbal violence. And some of these verbal violence issues are specific to a person, you know, because you're putting someone down. And in private or in front of others, people will be ridiculing you. Some of them will use the swearing words, you know, that are specifically uncomfortable for the other person to hear them.
Mm.
Some they'll be saying bad things about you, you know, they'll be saying bad things about your loved ones. Some of them they'll go even if you have a child with special needs in your household, they go ahead and start attacking the kid, you know. So some of them will be throwing around threatening words, you know.
Mm.
Some of
Mm-hmm.
those threatening words are in form of violence, yeah. And others will be against the victims or against somebody who is dear to you.
Mm.
And mark you, let me tell you, any married man or married woman outside there, if you go ahead and attack their partners, their kids, and their parents, you are holding something that is very, very, very dear to you. I remember when I was myself, I think I was in class five or something.
Mm.
I was at home just coming from school. It was around 4:30 p.m. My dad had just dropped me home. Then we stepped out of the compound. We went to the mom to the a shop there just to pick some veggies and something. Then one of these boys, I kept on hearing my mother telling me, this guy keeps on abusing me every time I'm going home. I don't
Mm.
understand what's up with him.
Mm.
Because I had never heard about it. Because I'm a very protective person when it comes to women. I protect women at all costs. And the guy walked with me, kept on abusing mom till the gate. And remember, I'm a very little tiny kid. This guy I think he was in his 20s or something. I went to the compound. The guy was still abusing mom. So we opened the gate, dad was coming in. And he's still standing at our gate and abusing mom. Nilienda nikachukua mpini wa jembe kule. Nikarudi nao kwa gate. I don't know where I got the strength from. I hit the guy once and he could not walk again. He sat down on the ground. And I asked him, did your mother and did your parents taught you enough to respect your elders? Why are you abusing my mother? Has she done anything to you? Have you had her even responding to you? No. What is your problem? So those kind of things, they make you to understand that people, you should not think by making even a joke
Mm.
about someone's kid, someone's wife, someone's husband, someone's parents. It does not sit well.
Yeah.
A clear indication was it's not right even to hit a fellow man, yes. But look at it with the Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Mm.
You know, that's basic joking about someone's wife. How did it end up?
Yeah.
You know, so those things do not sit very, very well. Other times, the verbal abuse may be relevant to the background of the victim. Maybe they has been born and raised with a single mother, a single father, such as some of it can be the way people make fun of religion, culture, language, sexual orientation,
Mm.
okay, traditions, yeah, and some of these things that are clearly directed towards, and you'll realize when we are going down LGBT, now there's a Q at the end, LGBTQ, yeah, you realize that our young guys or young boys and girls who are still identifying the sexual orientation, some of them are
Mm.
bisexual, some of them are lesbian, some of them are gay, they are being discriminated and verbally abused because of their sexual orientation. It is just crazy. So we look at this in terms of how can we be able to ensure that the people within LGBT, how are they being also catered for? Because they're being verbally abused, and every human being in the world has the right of association, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. They're free.
Mm.
So it's very, 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 very key. Then we also need to look at other aspects in terms of, because as I'm finishing up with this issue of verbal violence, we need to be very, very key that depending on the most emotionally sensitive areas of the victim, you realize that abusers often and consciously target these issues in a way that it is very painful, humiliating, and threatening to the victim.
Mm.
It is so frustrating for these individuals. Very frustrating. Then we look at also some issues in terms of remember the one thing we were talking about, the emotional abuse, which is psychological violence. It's one form of it's one form of gender-based violence, because these are things people don't see. You know, you'll go to your you go to your mother and tell your mother, my husband is abusing me, my boyfriend is abusing me. Sorry. But your parents will be like, but we don't see anything, you know, because those are not tangible kind of things that someone can see, you know, they're not tangible. Yeah. But we also have to be very categorical. All forms of violence, all forms of violence have a psychological aspect, because it is very clear for us to understand that the main aim of being violent or abusive, it is geared towards what? Hurting your integrity and dignity. Hurting your integrity and dignity. And these, most of the time, some of these psychological violence, that these non-physical things that are meant to, I need to control you. Okay. Nawira has friends in Nairobi, you know. JBD has friends in Naivasha. Yeah. Kabugi has a friends in Nakuru. But you know what I'll do? I will isolate you and take you to Turkana. I've bought like a ranch in Turkana, built a house there. I'm moving you away from your family and friends so that I can purely control you. So when I control you in that sense, you have nothing to do at all. You're not in control of your life. You're not in control of anything relating to your personal life at all. I frighten you. Yeah? If you like, I'll tell my mother you beat me up. And then I'm like, try do that. I'll cut off your fingers. You know? So you live your life with fear and fright because you're frightened. And most of these kind of psychological tortures, they happen in intimate relationships, the romantic relationship, where you're given threats. Yeah. Nimeenda kwa DCI. DCI is a friend of mine. I've done a duplication of Nyawira's phone. I want to see who are these men you are sending messages to. Who are these men who are calling Muna every day early morning at 4 a.m.? Who are these people who are calling Nyawira, telling Nyawira, let's go out? You know, I start even going to the next extent whereby I'm telling you, I don't want to see you with Jackie. I don't want to see you with Mary. Mary a bad influence to you. You know? So those are some of the key things when it comes to psychological violence that clearly being done. Then excessive jealousy, you know, even it gets to an extent I become even jealousy to your own siblings, you know, to your own siblings. It is completely out of order. Manipulation, I keep on manipulating you. Intimidation, dismissiveness. I make decisions alone, single-handedly. You know, I don't involve you. Yet we say we are partners. It is completely wrong. And one of the key things, those who are in relationships, you'll always say, oh, my partner is having an affair outside. No, they're just becoming psychological violent to you. They are neglecting of your needs, like excluding you from your sexual desires, your conjugal rights. Someone does not give you, you don't have sex with a person, yet he's your boyfriend, you are exclusive with him or her. He's your husband, she's your wife, but there's no sexual gratification. That is psychological torture. If your person keeps on doing that, it's a way of controlling you. He only satisfies you or gives you the things you need when he wants or she wants. You know, trying to control you. It's so key. And is one thing that we really need to look at and ask ourselves, where are we? Where are we going? What do we need for our future generation? It doesn't matter whether you're online and you are in your 19, 18, 20, 20. No, you are an adult. You are looking in the future. What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? Now we have touched on physical violence and psychological violence. Any question among the two forms of violence as we are proceeding on? Any questions that have come up?
Any questions, guys? While we wait for their questions, I have a question.
Yes, please.
You find that in marriage or sometimes when you're dating, there are situations whereby one partner does not feel like having sex.
Yeah.
So sort of withdraw it. So sometimes it could be mental. Is that violence?
So, a partner feeling like they don't want to have sex.
Yes. For like 2
But
weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 3 months.
is it, because the only thing we need to find out is, does the person that want to have sex because of something that the other partner has done? Is it something that because what you need to understand, we need also, I always ask ourselves when it comes to sexual withdrawal is it stress related at workplace? Is it
Mm,
stress related or something that was done wrong to him or her in the house?
mm,
Is someone having a medical issue that he doesn't want to share? And at times, sexual withdrawal, it can be as a result of reduced libido, which is a medical and as a health issue.
mm,
So that one needs to be determined clearly. But intentionally, Nyawira is my girlfriend, Nyawira is my wife, and I intentionally
mm,
withdraw from having sex with her. That is that's psychological violence, and it's also sexual torture. That's psychological violence, it's emotional violence, it's an emotional abuse. Unless it is medically proven that this person has this and that. And most of the time, it's encouraged that if you realize your partner is not having sex with you, 1 week has gone by, you need to ask the person. You need to ask the person, hey, Baba Nani, or babe, or honey, it's been a week since we engaged ourselves sexually. Oh, is there anything that I've done that is triggering you towards not having sex with me? You know, is there something wrong?
mm,
Because most of the times, you just need to ask and engage your partner, and you'll find
mm,
out even you're not the problem.
yeah.
Yeah, something that is not intentionally done, you find it's not even you as the problem. You
Mm,
find that it's just something that is killing you silently.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, Muna is asking, how do you protect yourself from emotional abuse at workplaces or home? Muna, emotional abuse, how to control yourself from emotional abuse? It's very, very clear that we have intense things around issues around someone trying to control, like your partner in your dating. You need first of
Mm,
all to find out that you'll see it clearly. By a controlling person, a controlling flick, someone who is trying to isolate you, it's very,
mm,
very clear to get to know the person. He'll control you where to go. When you're at work, he'll know the distance between your workplace and your house. He will know, yeah, the times you go to church.
mm,
He will know. And by the time you haven't even introduced him or her to your friends, but he knows all your friends. And he will always start asking you things that are not existing. No? So based on that, we'll find out that these things are very, very clear. Only- You'll find out very clearly that it's very, very intuitive that such kind of a person will always want to know where you are, what are you doing, who are you with. Then that these people who now, because of their controlling nature, they'll be like, why are you friends to John? Why are you friends to Mary?
mm,
You know? So you'll clearly get to know that. And then when you realize that, you you need to put your foot down and ask, I don't like this, and that. You feel like you are like where I'm going out with my friends, you can't give me space to hang out with my friends. Please,
Mm.
now let's have date nights. Every Wednesday or every Thursday of the week, it's just me and you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know where I am, I'm going to meet my girlfriends. We'll be there from 8 to 11
Mm.
or midnight. Drop me, come and pick me up at 12:30. You know, that is an easy way of doing things because if he can't come and pick you up at 12:30, then it's fine. Trust me, I'll be home by 1. You know, and whenever it comes to that kind of relationship and you lose the trust,
Mm-hmm.
immediately you lose the trust, then your love, your relationship start being broken down into simple little pieces, and which
Mm-hmm.
is becomes very hard to put it together.
Mm.
Very hard to put it together. At workplaces, there are channels of communication for emotional abuse because yelling at you, your colleague or your boss yelling at you, that's a psychological abuse. Those are things that you need to look at and ask yourself how, because you need to also look at in terms of it with the HR within the office, the line manager, you can be able to address those issues. So escalate those issues depending on how your structure of the organization has been put. If you have a HR in the office, they're the better people to handle the issues. Because within the HR policy, they cater for harassment within the office. And in places whereby there are no those structures, like rather than the owner of the company, yeye ndio kusema, and those managers there, they report directly to him, or you're being harassed by the owner of the company, then you have to do dispute resolution from outside. You'll engage the likes of FIDA or the labor court, and that one will be done for you for free. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other question that I've left behind?
Yes,
What if
a
someone
few.
asks all those questions and tells you in return where he
Mm.
is? Okay. What if someone asks all those questions and tells you in return? Okay, I don't understand that.
Like what she means is, if your partner is comfortable to tell you where they are, who they are meeting, what they are doing, and then asks you the same question, is that abuse?
Yes, it is because it's called is excessive jealousy.
Mm.
That is excessive jealousy. It's excessive jealousy and manipulation because they will go ahead and start also using the same responses that you have given to them to try and manipulate you.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
JD is asking, how about if there's a child who is sick and the parents and guardians don't take the child to the hospital? Is that abuse? Did I get it right, JDD? Is that abuse?
That's an abuse because the rights to those children is being abused in the house. Okay. The children needs to be given because you're abusing these children both physically, they're sick, you know, and
Mm.
now you're
Mm.
torturing them, you're giving them a psychological violence.
Mm.
These are kids who grow up and then the parents call them and the parents tell them, you know what, my son, my daughter, I'm sick. I need 20 shillings to go to the hospital. Then this child remembers my parents never took me to the hospital when I was sick. And one thing we need to remember, like us as adults, kids have photographic memory.
Mm.
They might not be able to put words to those actions,
Yeah.
but they have a photographic memory. They keep images of every little thing in their head. They will never forget.
Yeah.
Any other that you have left behind?
Question is, if you're married legally and your
Yes.
partner has those kind of behaviors, what should you do?
If you're married legally, it depends. Now, I first of all, if for churches, for a church marriage, before the marriage, there's always you're given someone who takes through the marital training and family training within the church,
Mm,
who becomes like your, let's just call it like your spiritual mother, your spiritual father in terms of family upbringing within the church. So you will go back to that person and engage the person and tell the person this is what is happening. Then try and resolve the issues with your partner, because your partner will be called and be brought on the table and discuss those issues amicably. Because you find that sometimes in the house, you cannot be in a position to resolve the issues, but you can be in a position to resolve those issues in front of someone else. Maybe your fear of telling your father, mother, your fear of telling your elder brothers and sisters, but an outsider who is from the church, you can trust them and have the discussion. Then
mm,
you can clearly do that from there. And at the same time, let's always, and I try and say this every time, let's always, when you have any form of physical violence, report it to the authority, have your OB, seek medical attention, have your
mhm,
documents, because if you are legally married, that will help you to get you a very clear divorce without hesitation.
mm.
They
Okay.
can't come back and control you on that,
Yeah.
because that one gives the evidence, and your divorce will be very, very smooth within a very short span. I'm not telling people to get divorced. You can try and find the amicable solutions around it. But remember, when it gets to a point whereby you really want, now, you know what, enough is enough, I'm done.
Mm,
You need that evidence. You'll take photos of yourself, send it to your reliable person, keep them, because maybe he or she might decide to take your phone and throw it away and burn it or delete the images from your phone. You know, that is what is always important to do.
mm,
For those who, one of the biggest, I would say, a marriage that is very difficult, takes a long process to dissolve, is the legal marriage that you've done within the office of the Attorney General.
mm,
It's not easy as a church. That's a legal, the civil marriage. It takes a long process for you to dissolve it. So try and look at, because I've seen quite a number of those cases, and it takes some time more than the other one, the church weddings and all the sign from the church, blah blah blah. So that's what happened there. So we can be in a position also to. You're saying something?
yes. So I was just trying to understand, why is that marriage so difficult to break as compared to the rest?
The legal caveats around it. There's some legal caveats around it. My divorce took more than 3 years because of those legal caveats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
because
very informative.
I had to look for the magistrate who signed for me that, because there's something he had to nullify, yet she has been transferred again.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys know that attorney general's weddings would be a problem to go through divorce, or would take
So
longer than usual.
it takes a longer time.
Didn't know that. So
You know,
it's not.
the
Uh-huh.
church is easy because the other person will write the letters and blah blah, go to the church. The church, so you find like your spiritual parent in the church, whom you went to for intervention, comes in and also says, okay, I've managed to go through these individuals for this number of times. These are my findings, and then that narrative is written and taken to court. You find that you're getting your certificate of decree
Mm,
within a span of at most between 3 to 6 months. Is done.
mm.
Yeah.
There's a lady asking, Or
Yeah.
rather, she's commenting and saying the reason why. Let me get the question. Let me get the comment. All right, that's my PA. Speaking of divorce, what of the kids? Because most women hold back because of them.
Now let's finish our topic first, and then I think that's one thing we'll pick it up later on and discuss on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Truth Watch is so brutal on that. My goodness, Truth Watchdog. Okay, sawa daktari. Tutaendelea kuuliza maswali after.
Ni sawa sawa. So I don't know where now the echo is coming from. Where now? I'm experiencing an echo.
Oh, we're not experiencing echoes from this end. You're very
I'm getting
clear.
it. No, I'm getting double sounds. Let me disconnect and connect.
Sure, sure. Hey, Truth Watchdog, yani hivyo tu. Hey, Ruth, umesikia vile umeambiwa hapo? We, sawa. Emotional abuse. Truth Watchdog, stick around, tutakupatia opportunity. Hubert akimaliza, daktari akimaliza. The topic, Daisy, is gender-based violence. Gender-based violence. Over to you, daktari.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have done the physical violence and emotional or psychological violence. Now, one of the most amazing and I think one of the violence that everyone always they don't much of the time talk about is sexual violence, because it happens both ways. I have the sexual desire, I want to have sex with my girlfriend or my wife. The lady has sexual desire, she wants to have sex with her husband or the boyfriend. When is it correct? What time does it stop from being a sexual violence or sexual abuse? You know, and as more and more information has become available about circumstances surrounding sexual violence, we tend to understand that it has become very clear that sexual violence is just like any other form of violence. It's an abuse of power. And this sexual violence we are looking at, it includes issues around engaging in consensual vaginal sex, anal sex, oral penetration with another person, use of body parts or objects, engaging in other non-consensual acts of sexual nature with a person, or causing someone else to engage in non-consensual acts of sexual nature with a third person. You know, this one has become very, very clear. And I think I've defined it very clearly. And we, in one way or another, we can try and start envisioning this form of sexual violence. We have these aspects that we call rape. At what point in a relationship will we say you are having intimate rape or marital rape? You know, marital rape and attempted rape constitute sexual violence. You know, some of these examples is sexual activities that like we look at, because I look most of the time we can look at the forced sexual activities. Yeah, like I force my partner to watch me as I masturbate, or I watch her as she masturbates. You know, forcing someone else to masturbate in front of you or in front of others. Okay, Forcing someone to have unsafe sex, that is sexual violence. Sexual harassment, that is sexual violence.
Mm-hmm.
And abuse related to reproduction. What do you understand by abuse related to reproduction? Guys, what is abuse related to? What is reproduction abuse? What is reproduction abuse? Guys, I'm waiting for you. I'm trying to see your answers. What is reproduction abuse? Hmm? What do you understand by reproduction abuse?
Mm.
Very true.
Okay.
Kuambiwa uzae kama hutaki. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mabel. Thank you, Agi. Thank you, Jadidi. Kuzalishwa bila kutaka. Exactly, boss lady. When you're stopped from making your own choices. Mm-hmm. Amy, yes. Denied a chance to have a baby. Yes. So denied a chance to have a baby, that is a forced abortion. Coercion. Yeah. This is also, we look at it in terms of, I think we have answered quite all of them, because we look at forced pregnancy. Thank you, Sana. Thank you, Sana. That's Nyarjim. Thank you. Forced pregnancy, forced abortion, yeah, forced sterilization, yeah. Bibi anaenda kuzaa, akizaa wewe umepanga na the gyna, yeah? Unatoka kule wewe tube zako zishakatwa. Okay? And for our young ones, because of the culture, we have a very bad culture in some of our communities, yeah? FGM, female genital mutilation, yeah? That is abuse of reproduction. Very bad one. Okay? Certain forms of sexual violence are related to a victim's personal limits. How much can I go? Muna, sure. Yeah? Your boyfriend is forcing you to do a blowjob. That's sexual abuse. You've never done it. Why are you being forced to do something that's not your limit? You know? Doing things that are not within your comfort zone. That's sexual abuse. You know? And are more typically of the private sphere, because most of these certain violences that are related to victims' personal limits, you'll never see them in public. They're being done within the four walls. So, and the perpetrators deliberately, yeah, violates the limits. You have gone on a date with someone, ulimfeel mara ya kwanza, ukatoa nguo vizuri, akatoa nguo akavaa raba, but at the point of entry, you developed a cold feet, and you said, you know what, nah. What do we call that? And the guy continues. What do we call that? That becomes a death trap. You were raped because you said no. Couldn't need listen. Okay? Forcing certain types of sexual activities. Sexual fantasies. Okay? Sexual fantasies. Those are forced activities. My fantasy is to sit and watch two women making out. So I force my girlfriend to find her friend, they start making out. Pushing the limits. Okay? Withdrawal of sexual attention as a form of punishment. It's both psychological and sexual abuse. Okay? Forcing others to watch pornography.
Mm.
You remember some guys in campus, you could stay in with someone in the room. Yeah, but I watch movie and I watch to pornography. And because you're in that room, you want to sleep, you're forced to endure and listen to those sounds on the, that is sexual abuse. Also, it's important for us to note that all forms of sexual violence can both appear in private and public spheres. However, we need to also to note that we have three particular forms of sexual violence that appear in the public domain. And these we are looking at. Now we dive into the sexual harassment that you're talking at the workplace.
Mm.
Okay? Sexual violence as a weapon of war and torture. And sexual violence against the perceived individuals or LGBT people as a means of punishment for abandoning, the gender roles. And some of these LGBTQ people, you find most of the time they also suffer from physical abuse or physical violence because a man and a man touching hands or kissing in public, some areas, in some communities, in some towns, some cities, watafumaniwa na wapigwe. But a good scenario is I have friends of mine who are lesbians, and I think that was my first and the last time I was in this club in on Mombasa Road called what is that mall next to Eka Hotel?
Next gen.
Next Gen Mall. There's a club there, something Bistro.
I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, there's a club downstairs.
No, Golden Ice Bistro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there with my friends. That day I told them today even I won't even indulge because I'm on medication. Blah blah blah. I'll drive you guys around. It's fine. So because the girlfriend was new in Kenya, so she was just visiting, and so at the place they started having a drink, and then when they're enjoying themselves, they're kissing each other. Do you know we were thrown out of the club?
Mm.
We don't encourage this one here. Get out of my place. Don't even pay the bills. You leave.
Mm.
You know. So you can look at that form whereby now these people are being psychologically and emotionally tortured. At the same time, they're being discriminated based on their sexuality.
Mm.
So those are some of the key things that we look at and ask ourselves, how do we then come up and be in a position to like take on that and make it a very good thing within the society? So when we are talking of harassment in terms of sexual harassment, I will encourage everyone here, don't assume at workplace. Yeah? Don't assume at workplace because I know Nyawira and I work with her, we are colleagues. From nowhere, I can just go and hug her. If you're in a different kind of a setting, that is harassment. And it's considered as sexual harassment. That's why you realize most of the places a colleague will ask you, can I hug you? It is always one of the key things that people ask. Can I hug my colleague at work without asking? Or is this sexual harassment? What kind of relationship do you have with your colleague? You know, at your workplace, is it okay to comment on a woman's body? Because the moment at workplace, yes, we are colleagues, I start saying, you know what, Mary? Hey, Mary, you have a very nice bum. That is already sexual harassment because you're looking at Mary sexually. Because some of the key things that at workplaces you need to refrain yourself from giving certain comments. Then if you are very good friends with that colleague of yours, then also avoid giving certain comments within the public domain, within the public sphere of other colleagues around. What will other colleagues start saying? John and Mary having an affair. So those are some of the key things that will come up. So when in fact that does harassment start, it is helpful to note from the start that any form of harassment is usually humiliating, very humiliating and degrading, and threatens the physical and mental integrity of other people. And at workplace, we always say that any form of unwanted verbal, non-verbal, or physical conduct of a sexual nature, and this one with the purpose of or affecting or violating the dignity of a person, it is considered as harassment. So we say harassment is basically occurs when we looking at unwanted conduct that is related to the sex of a person occurs with the purpose of effect of violating the dignity of a person and creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, or creating an offensive environment to that person. We can look at verbal examples of harassment and sexual harassment at workplaces. And these ones are basically is when you make comments about say, a person's body. And those are the key things because we are asking ourselves, verbal examples, when you make verbal comments about someone's body, whether a man or a woman, that's sexual harassment. Making sexual comments or innuendos. Okay? Asking like coming to Nyawira and asking Nyawira or coming to Nyajim, Alicious, asking them about your sexual fantasies. Those are my sexual fantasies. Why should I ask you about your sexual fantasies? Unless we are in a relationship, which is a different kind of now setting. You know? Preferences or history. What is your sexual preference? Is it what is your preference? Do you prefer ladies or men? You know? Asking personal questions about someone's social or sexual life. You know?
making sexual comments about person's clothing, making sexual comments about someone's anatomy or looks, or repeatedly trying to date a person who is not interested. Yes, guys, my gents here, you repeatedly trying to date someone who says no, amekataa. Leo kesho bado uko inbox yake unatuma message. Kesho kutwa bado uko inbox yake unatuma message. That is sexual harassment. When someone says no, you can even ask, can we just be friends then? Be friends. You never know. Maybe from that friendship, you'll develop a very good rapport and you guys end up dating. Okay? Telling lies or spreading rumors about a person's sex life or sexual preference. That is sexual harassment. Let's be very, very keen about what we spread outside there. We look at some of the nonverbal harassments in terms of sexual harassment. Nonverbal, that is when you look at a person up and down, yeah. No, ile wasichana mnapenda kusaiziana. Unaangalia mtu from toe to head to toe, Then following or stalking someone, that's sexual harassment. Also, using sexually suggestive visuals, yeah. Making sexual gestures with the hands or body movements, yeah. Using your facial expressions such as winking, throwing kisses, okay. Yep. Then now the new form of sexual harassment has become in terms of social media. People creating memes about you. Yes, my J, stalking is a sexual harassment. It's bad. It's a criminal offense. Karibu sana Jacqueline Chebi.
So daktari, one question. One question, daktari.
Yes, please.
So now, sorry, I'm going to ask this question now. Because you just mentioned that if you're having a conversation and you ask someone what's their fantasies, because I think, where do you draw the line? Because you could be flirting with someone and that question normally comes up. Is that violence? Because I think in most cases in Kenya, not only in Kenya, when men are flirting with you, those are the first questions they ask. Is that true, ladies? Those are the first questions they ask. So that all that is sexual violence. So where do you draw the line?
Is it someone that you have known for how long? Are you just acquaintances? Are you colleagues? Are you friends? Because those questions will, if you guys, let's say you're dating, you're getting to know each other. Yeah. You have clearly defined your parameters in terms of you guys are dating. Then I'm so clear that from that point, then you are in a position to be able to ask each other those questions. But if you just find your colleague at your workplace or your environment, you can't go ahead and asking your colleague that, what's your sexual fantasy? No. What is your sexual orientation? What is your sexual preference? No. It's very, very, very wrong. That's a sexual harassment. And those people will feel violated. Yeah.
Wow. We are learning.
Then we look at some of the other instances, like just as we conclude on the issue with sexual violence, we look at the physical harassment. Physical harassment is like, for example, is giving someone a massage around the neck, and which is one of the, I think it's a common thing for some of the people do on those people that they don't know. You're being touchy. That's sexual harassment, yeah. And then touching another person's clothing. Mbona unashika nguo ya mtu?
Mhm.
You know? Kushika mtu kwa nywele. Ama unamshika mkono, you know? Just touching someone's body, you know? It's not that's sexual harassment, you know? Then hugging. You need to have a consent to hug someone. Okay? Giving someone a peck. My boy, I'm answering your question. Patting someone, touching or rubbing oneself sexually against another. Okay? Mabel, you know, what if someone's language of love is physical touch? You've already gone into a relationship. You're having a relationship. That is so different from sexual harassment. You see, you already know your partner. Your partner's language of love is touch. So that one you'll not consider as sexual harassment because you already know your partner. Okay? And you have clearly said, what if someone's language of love is physical touch? So yes, Muna says that person should be your boyfriend. Yeah. Lastly, I think from all the first three, we have captured a lot of some of various forms of violence in that. And lastly, we want to look at one of, I think most of us don't know if it's it's a form of violence, but it's one of the biggest issue, leave alone even emotional violence that people take advantage of at all costs. Socio-economic violence.
Wow.
Socio-economic violence. You know, socioeconomic violence that can make a victim more vulnerable to other forms of violence because you don't have power, you know, and can even be the reason why other forms of violence are inflicted. Okay. I'm with so and so because he provides or she provides. I'm with so and so because gives me money. I'm with so and so because they give me everything that I need. You know, we have realized that even the global data clearly shows that one of the consequences of globalization is the feminization of poverty. You know, and what we talk about that feminization of poverty because of the culture has put in the sense that making women generally more economically vulnerable than men. It's the biggest global problem, you know, and you find some of the men take advantage of that aspect, and some, but trends are changing. Some of the women also take advantage of that because in both scenarios, when you're talking about socioeconomic violence, a woman with more money, a woman who is earning more than the husband, will always tend to control the husband, okay, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Some of the key things that are happening within our societies, and we can't run away from them. Okay. However, economic vulnerability is one of the biggest phenomenon that also it exists at a personal level within various relationships, and it is recognized in a vast number of abusive relationships as distinct phenomenon, and it's why it deserves to be categorized on its standalone because we really need to categorize that part alone. I know it contributes to quite a lot of other things, sexual violence, and because it makes you vulnerable to a lot of other violences within the society. So when we reverse that role, and that's what we are saying, if we reverse the role in terms of the men are more empowered, and we can see in Kenya, we can see the trends are going when we realize that our culture is making our girl child not to go to school when the parents are not educating the girl child. We decided to put more emphasis on ensuring the girl child empowerment. Now we have empowered the girl child. Where have we left the boy child? You know? So we always need to find there's equity and equality, you know? We need to ensure that all those things are balanced at the same time, you know? So that we don't have these cases whereby a woman has a higher economic status in a relationship. It does not necessarily eliminate the threat of violence. You know that. It doesn't. Yeah. Then conflicts about status of emasculation, because everyone will start bringing about the masculinity. Yeah. Which will result into an abusive relationship. Okay. Like a man will start saying, even you're not giving me good sex, I can go outside and buy. A man will say, I can pay a 20-year-old boy to do the things that you can't do to me, you know? So it brings up that abusiveness within the relationship. So those are some of the key things that we need to look at and ask ourselves, how do we do that? And typical forms of socioeconomic violence, we look at it in terms of some of the, like this one basically is in relationships where a man has more money than the woman. And I've seen it happening in various, because I've been in a position to see it physically happening to some of the people that I know. And taking away the earnings of the victim. Like I'm dating Nyawira is my wife. Then I, as the husband, I take away your salary, immediately your salary pops into your account. I'm there with you at the ATM or at the bank, withdraw everything. You know, or I ask you every time you receive the salary, channel it to this account. And who is controlling that account? Me. You know. Then other is not allowing the other person to have a separate income. Like either I've seen it mostly in Western countries, which is very rampant in terms of the husband just says, you're a housewife, you're not working, sit in the house, you know. Also in the Western countries whereby the wife is a CEO, for her is just to give birth to babies. Your husband sit in the house. Yeah, you're a house husband. Kaa kwa nyumba, wenda kukani gari ndio hii. Kama ni I'll be giving you $5,000 every month, shika, you know. So it happens, yeah. And this giving the housewife or husband status, yeah, making someone work in a family business so that you can control them, yeah. And when you're controlling them, they're doing a family business, but at the same time you're not paying them salaries, you know. It's excruciating and tormenting to the person. Also making the victims unfit for work, you know. Then you also look at some of the socioeconomic violence can be done in the public sphere, because it's both a cause and an effect of dominant gender power, because we want power, you know. And this power, most of it is when it comes to socioeconomic, most of the time is issues around money. Then it may include a denial of access to education, or equally like paid work. So that's when we now saw the issues around gender equality, you know. Then denial of access to services. You can't access certain services. You know, like let's say you are being abused in the house, so you can't be allowed to go and seek interventions within the police center, you know. Then exclusion from certain jobs. How will you be able to do that? You know, denial of pleasure and enjoyment of civil rights or cultural rights, social rights or political rights. You know, those are some of the key things that you look at and be able to look at that. And some of these socioeconomic violences, they impact majorly also on the people with the LGBT, because they become one of the major cohort of the society that they're subject to criminalization, because umekiuka mila na tamaduni za Kiafrika. You know, that's how it is put. Okay. Then some public forms of socioeconomic gender-based violence contribute to women becoming economically dependent on their partners. You know, so that is the person that you tell clearly you need to, you know. JDD saying kwanza those parents are co-parenting. nitakuja kwako, unanichokoza. You know, you look at that in terms of that, so you find that when that it could like women becoming emotionally or men becoming emotionally and economically attached to someone, it means they are fully depending on you for every little, for every little coin, paying bills in the house, water, electricity, they've connected the cable TV, household groceries and shopping, buying just a single glass or spoon in the house, you have to call that person and you have to provide the receipts, so that I gave you 20 shillings, where the receipts, it's really eating up within the society. Yeah. And then we also look at it creates a dependency, then offers someone with a tendency to be abused, and the chance in relationship, the chance to act without fear of losing their partner, because I have a fear I will lose my partner. What will I do? I don't have anything. So I tend to put myself in a space whereby I'm like, hey, you know what? If I lose Nyawira, what will I do? If I lose Manu, what will I do? If I lose Jackie, what will I do? If I lose Mary, what will I do? If I lose Lucy, what will I do? So you start asking yourself those kind of questions, because your fear is, I can't do this. I can't be in this space. I can't leave this person. I have no means. I have no way out. You become so dependent to the person, and that is one of the key things that really kills the society. Okay. In the recent past, we have heard of a lot of violences down in Southern African countries. Because the prevalence of violence in like look at South Africa, Lesotho, Zambia, Zimbabwe, most of those areas, it's basically intimate violence. Yeah. One of the prominent musicians in South Africa, they went out with the boyfriend, they came back to the house, they started exchanging verbal words. She can't even remember how she picked the knife and stabbed the boyfriend. Intoxication, anger, action and reaction. We are looking at approximately 2/3 of women in Southern African countries that have experienced both physical or emotional violence in the hands of their partners. That shows if 2/3, that's more than 75% of the population of women. The women of above the age of 18, 2/3 in Southern African countries. That's too high. And some of these cases are not reported because of fear of how will I be judged by the community? How will I be judged by the society? How will my family say? Yeah, you come off from let's say a spiritual family. How will my parents say? I come off from a well-off family, a poor family, and I'm married in a well-off family. How will my family say? Those little things that hold people back, and people want to be part and parcel of them. So it's crazy how those things work. Okay. So we also look at in terms of what has World Health Organization said about issues around the gender-based violence. Yeah. They say that 30% of women in the world, 30%, 35% of women in the world, and 45% in Africa have experienced gender-based violence in their lifetime. That's a big percentage. Okay. As of July 2020, the United Nations AIDS wing, they say that 60% of girls and women between the ages of 13 and 24 in Uganda, they have experienced gender-based violence. Okay. while 72% of young population 18 to 24, they have experienced gender-based violence before they have reached the age of 18. So you can imagine in Uganda, these people between the ages of 18 and 24, they say 72% of them, they say they have experienced at one time gender-based violence before they were 18 years. This is an endemic, deep-rooted problem in our society. We need to start institutionalizing positive values in our households. And that one can only happen in our children who are the younger, tender ages. 25% of young women in Eastern Africa, they have justified that they have experienced domestic violence, whereby the husband beating the wife or the wife beating the husband. 25% of the young women. So that one shows you these numbers are keep on increasing and increasing every day. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very clear for us to note that now the intimate partner violence is a public health concern. It's a big public health concern. Very, very big. So we say that in Kenya itself, our own country, 3.8% of women and 1.3% of men per 1,000. 3.8 and 1.8 and 1.3 per 1,000 are victims of intimate or domestic abuse. Okay? So we are looking at every year those reported ones. Just reported. We are looking at between 1,181 women that have been abused. But those numbers are high, you know that. They're more than that. We're talking of over 30,000 by now.
Yeah.
And men who are also abused, we're looking at 329 men who are reporting. But how many are not reporting?
Yeah. Really?
Huh? And this 1881, it's because 1,181 women have been killed for that year, and 329 men have been killed for that year. That's when it is reported. So those numbers keep on going up, going up, and going up. So it's one of the key things that we really need to look at and ask ourselves. What is it that we need? What is it that is required? And what are the reasons what are the core reasons that are leading towards gender-based violence? We look at social isolation as one of it. Economic insecurity, which is the biggest contributor.
Yeah.
Okay. Then a breakdown in public services. Unaenda kwa polisi, una report, askari anakuambia wewe toka hapa. Wacha kuniwestia time, niko na guide ndaka kwenda kudili na unaniambia mambo ya kupigana na bwanako kwa nyumba. You know? So it is one of the biggest things that we really need to look at and ask ourselves what next. Okay? Then one of the key things that we also need to ask ourselves, what is the contribution of the COVID pandemic towards gender-based violence? Yeah. Wewe boyfriend yako ama bwana yako umezoea unamuonanga jioni usiku saa 4 anaingia kwa nyumba anaingia kwa nyumba saa 4 alafu anaishia zake. Because like the only time you guys meet is when anakuja nakula weekend, mnaonana maybe mkienda church, kama mnaendanga church pamoja, na tena kama mwendangi church pamoja, wewe utamwamsha hiyo Sunday asubuhi baada ya kuteia ameiva sana, kolit analala. Ukirudi na watoto kwa nyumba ama ukirudi kwa nyumba peke yako, amaamka na kunywa supu tena, pengine atoke ama pia anarudi tena kulala, you know. So COVID has really contributed because the number of cases of gender-based violence that are being reported to police stations was so high. In Nairobi only, we had over 5,000 cases between the first 1 month of lockdown. Between the first 1 month of lockdown, 5,000 cases of gender-based violence. So those numbers keeps on shooting. And attributions towards these GBV, we can just say it was basically because of people have lost their jobs during that time, you know. There's no food because you're depending on your spouse to come back with some little something to eat in the house, but there's nothing. Lack of food in the house, stress, frustration. Jamaa ameingia pale, ajenda mjengo, ameenda tu kukaa kule nje kufikiria vile anarudi kwa nyumba, anauliza wife, anamuuliza umekuja na nini ya kukula, you know.
Yeah.
Lack of employment, you know, idleness, you know, conflicts, you know. And most of this time during COVID, the time, the highest violence that was experienced was sexual. Yes. Early child marriages, watu wanapatiana watoto wao wendo waolewe so they can get money in return, you know. And high physical violence. It was so high, you know. And across all that, because during that time they were having high economic times, tough economic times, then we found there were also increased rates of socio-economic violence, which were creating women, both women and men, vulnerable to abuse. You get sexually abused because you just want to be paid 1,000 bob, because you just want to be paid 100 shillings, because just one, like this person has promised you to give you 2,000 shillings, you get sexually violated. You know, your limits get abused. So those are some of the key things that literally are things that we really need to look at and be able to ask ourselves, what next? Where do we want to be? Where do we want to go next? The other issue that I think from till there, any questions so that we can we have our last area when you need to look at our invisible spectators. Then I think we'll be able to we'll have cleared that topic for today. Then Jedidi has said something up here about co-parenting. Jedidi, now what are you saying about co-parenting? I heard you just saying especially co-parenting. I didn't understand exactly what it means, especially co-parenting. Kwanza, those parents that are co-parenting, what about them? What have they done on the issues of socioeconomic? Only that one happens, Mami. It only happens if maybe one of the parents is not working. Maybe only when one of the parents is not working, then it will become the fact that it becomes a key issue to increase manipulating someone, controlling someone due to the socioeconomic status, because they can't fend for themselves. If they can't fend for themselves, it means they can't provide for the kids. Then the other person who has enough now takes advantage of the man or the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen someone saying that also, yes, it has really, Najim, it has really contributed to the numbers of increased HIV cases. The incident rate for HIV cases has really gone up because of COVID and socioeconomic stresses.
Yeah.
And also the COVID during that time, the GBV. So now the young girls who are being given away for marriages, then the socioeconomic idea, because the hard times during the economical times. So when you go beyond your limits by having unprotected sex, which is exposing you to so many other infections. Yeah. Yeah. So that is one of the key things there. Any other questions? Yes, through local authorities, the number you reported were high. Yes, very true. Yes, true. At least I know quite a number of police stations here. They don't report effectively and efficiently on those gender-based violence cases because they say they have other bigger issues to deal with. Yeah, men cry and die in silence. I was in one, and how I got out, it's just prayers. True, Stallion, yeah. It's very true. Trust you, me. Intimate partner violence, the root cause ndio to deal nayo kwanza. Intimate partner violence, it's a matter of self-determination, self-identification, your self-esteem. Know what is your worth in that relationship. Define your parameters. Usivumilie kwa sababu hiyo uliambiwa na familia anatoka kwa familia mzuri. Usivumilie kwa sababu uko na mtoto na yeye. That for the sake of the kids, I should no. Someone should not abuse you just because you have kids with the person. No. You need to iron it out and put it to a stop. Adults talk. Adults do not fight. Do not engage in physical or emotional or sexual or socioeconomic violence to iron out the issues they're having. They talk. Yes, Jim, I know, yes, kids and people living with disabilities experience a lot of GBV. Yes, very true. The good thing about any form of GBV is that people are now informed, though not 100%. Yes, true. But still, some still hide under the church. Still, some hide under their families, extended families. They don't bring it out, and they're dying in silence. I know recently of someone who was because the girlfriend was cheating, lied to the girlfriend, and the girlfriend did not know that the boyfriend knows that she's going out with the boss, and the guy lied that he's going to Rwanda for a job, and then even he never got to go to Rwanda. The mother got called that the guy has killed himself, hanged himself in a hotel in Kampala, and left her behind a note. So these are some of the things that people don't speak about. That's why it's always very important to air out any form of sexual deprivation, any form of physical violence, any form of emotional violence. Just speak out. Don't die. That's why so many women live longer than men. Yes, churches brainwash people. It's one of the key things that happens. But yeah, it's a big story on its own. It's a big topic on its own. Yeah. So that said and done, I think I can't see much question. What if you are both working and one parent isn't taking up his or her responsibility?
Mhm.
Ajay, there's a way on how to iron that. If you're both working and one parent is not taking up responsibility, yes, it's very important for you to look into that and discuss the issues. And then if those issues are not being ironed out clearly between the both of the parents, then it becomes a legal matter whereby then that other person now will be legally forced to
Mm.
part ways with a certain amount towards catering for not on if you as a lady you're working or you as a man you're working, then it's not you, it's rather than now the kids who are involved. Then the magistrate will rule to the favor of the kids for certain amount to be taken care of. Yep. So now that one you take a legal action. Okay.
Mm.
Now, how do the last question now, after looking at all that, we have looked at quite a number of other things. How do our invisible spectators within the household get impacted? Children who grow up in abusive household and what it does to them.
Mm.
I'll use a case, one of the cases of a lady called Naina. One of the earliest childhood memories of Naina is her parents used to fight a lot. And she still, right now, even at the age, she's now 24, she still can't remember the reasons as to why the parents were fighting. And also, she doesn't know the meaning of all the swear words that the father used to use. You know, her parents, because she believes that the parents were married because of love, and there was nothing much for Naina to grow up around because of those all the time fights and fights and fights. Yeah, the fights were daily affair, and her father leaving the house after beating up the mother in the night. That's the one thing she could remember. Herself hiding behind the curtain, just wishing she would be invisible in that house, you know.
Mm.
Then some few years later, the mother was diagnosed with cancer, you know, when Naina was around 10 years old. But she remembers because this one and that physical violence reduced within the house. But the mother one day told her, you know, during when the mother was now succumbing to the cancer, the mother told Naina, kindly just forgive your father because I have forgiven your father, you know.
Mm.
For her, what she remembers looking at, looking at the dad and smiling. And it is one of the only happy times. Naina says it's her memory,
Wow.
that happy memory of her father, just the smile. That is the memory that she keeps moving around with. Yeah. And we say, I take that story as one of the key things that Naina is one of the many children who grew up witnessing violence or abuse at home. And while discussions around domestic abuse often center around victims and perpetrators, we tend to forget the conversation around children who end up being helpless spectators and are often drowned in it. That like psychologically tormented, psychologically broken up, you know. We look at one of the cases that I picked up from neighboring countries here. We find that domestic abuse can happen in several ways, both emotional and physical, as you have spoken. But for children, the first three are more apparent, you know, because them there's more of that emotional and physical is one of the key things that really they can see, and because it brings about changes in the neurobiology, especially of the instances of abuse and frequent, which is becomes very frequent because this means the child's physical cognitive and social and emotional growth is adversely affected. So we tend also to look at that children who witness most of the violence on a daily basis, some of them end up having stunted growth because they don't get enough sleep. You know, they don't get enough sleep, especially if they are younger, yeah. And also emotionally, they may either become overly sensitive or completely numb. Like there's nothing that will do anything to that child, you know. And the social and cognitive effects of being in such kind of environments become more severe in the long term, because you find quite a number of those children either they become aggressive, they tend to lash out at any smallest provocation, or become completely withdrawn and submissive. You know, they get completely withdrawn from everything that is happening around them, and the whole experience leaves them feeling like they're confused, and they end up a number of them end up blaming themselves. Yeah. Then you ask yourself, why is it that some of these children now, you you ask like a boy over 18-year-old or a boy over 20 years old is becoming abusive to a girlfriend whom within their relationship for 3 years or for just 3 months, you know, because he or she is they are depicting the thing in their lives. They're depicting things in their lives, you know, the things that happened, they are depicting that, and they will act on them. They say, you know what, my mother used to beat up my dad used to beat up my mom. Yeah, if it's a lady, my mother used to abuse my dad, and my mama never used to give dad food, you know. So it becomes like that is it becomes a norm. So that thing really literally it completely now messes up the entire society, you know. So these kind of things, one day you find that they mess up the mind, and the young guy or the young people, they start having these issues around the more they find those physical violence and the cognitive and psychological aspects of it that being completely being messed up, then they end up getting depressed, then they end up having suicidal thoughts. Sometimes they end up now expressing their anger on their girlfriends or their partners, because a man or a lady who has been brought up in that kind of setup and they have not let go of the past, when you start abusing them or doing some certain things to them, now it's like you're awakening the sleeping dog in them, that lion in them. Now you end up now seeing these issues of homicides, death, killings within the families, intimate killings happening, you know, someone going ahead and shooting their spouse and killing also all the children and killing himself. You know, those are some of the key things that really happen, and it has a very bad negative impact on those invisible spectators within the families. And that's why at all times, whatever happens, even if you're having quarrels, go and do your quarrels under your blankets. Talk in them. Stop raising your voices in front of your children. It's a very, very bad picture. You know. But so I think with that said and done, I think for today we'll stop there and just ask ourselves, reflect on everything and ask ourselves, where are we? What can we do to change our better society? Am I in kind of this toxic, abusive relationship? Am I having some of reflection in my past that are interfering with my current relationship? Get it out, seek help, and let it out. Go to a counselor, let that person hear you out. Shed that tear. cry, lash out as much as you want, because you need to let out that anger and energy in you.
Mm.
Then you'll be in a very better placed position to be that good person. Thank you so much for everyone for listening. And thank you for giving me 2 hours of your time. In case of any queries, please, let's see which one we can answer. And yeah, I think that's the end for me for today. Thank you.
That was very informative, Daktari. But you have a query from Ceci. Let me see what the question is. Ceci, can you raise your question again? You can see she really wants you to answer. Oh, she's asking, what is one supposed to do when your spouse says he is there because of the kids?
And then that is not a relationship. That's not a marriage. You need just walk away, pick your kids and go. Because one day that person will end up killing you. That's
Leave
not a
him.
relationship. Yeah, just leave. Because you work so much, you are there for because of the kids. One day you guys might engage into an argument. He might end up killing you and the kids.
Okay. Any other question for Daktari? I'm thinking, Daktari, we may have a second session on this.
Baby says, I'm a victim of keeping secrets. After this, I need to think of me.
Yeah. Yes. What could be the topic on our second session on this?
Okay. He doesn't want me to find a job. That is a narcissist, Cynthia. A narcissist, a controlling freak. A controlling freak. That is someone who really just wants to control you. That is someone who wants to ensure that you do nothing. But yes, because it's a, you know, do you know what is the definition of narcissism? Sophie, do you know what is a narcissist? Essie?
No, she doesn't know. She says no, tell us.
Someone who thinks your life revolves around him. Yes, Majay, controlling, yes, but they think like their life revolves just around them. You can't do anything without them. That's why if you go out, it's an issue. If him goes out and comes back after 1 week, it's not an issue. And some of them, they need they need psychological interventions, because some of those narcissists, it's both environmental and genetic. Maybe it comes from a family line. So start thinking twice, mommy. Start thinking twice. Do not allow a narcissist to control your life. You are happy with your babies. Yes, it's so hard dealing with a narcissist because atakutafuta. Because I know very well atakutafuta. I know very well atakutafuta. And that's where you need all the moral and social support that you deserve. Yes, Makesh, I know that some of the mothers or ladies who are narcissists too, but you know, narcissism is majorly, like, commonly found in men, and a small percentage of it is in women. And if you find a narcissist woman, you'll always having fights with your sisters, your cousins, the female cousins, because them their target is not even about your male friends. They target more of your women, like any female figure around you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Amy, it's not easy, Mama. It's not easy. It's not easy. It gets to a point you feel like giving up, you know. I left my house with my car, my bike, and a suitcase of clothes and went to an Airbnb. So it's not easy. So you just need to stay positive. Stay positive, Amy. Stay positive. The moment you start overthinking and looking behind on the negative thoughts, then remember, you have the little ones. Those little ones, you need to be very, very dear to them. You need to be very clear to them, because immediately they see you crying, as I said, most of our when we are emotionally drained, it always has a ripple effect, and the ripple effect goes to our kids. The ripple effect goes to our kids, because our kids will always ask us, yo, what happened? You know, mommy, where's daddy? Daddy, where's mommy? You know, because they're so used to seeing you around. If you, and then for the ladies, please, there's always one thing I always say for the ladies. If you are going through that hardship, kindly refrain from being on social media and putting your life on social media. Because I'll get to know where Nyawira is by the social media.
Yeah.
I'll get to know Nyawira is at Eka Hotel. I'll get to know Nyawira is at Sarova White Sands in Mombasa. I'll get to know Nyawira she's in Kampala, Uganda. Why? Social media sells us out.
Yeah.
Social media sells us out. Stop putting your 100% everything, your life on social media. You can decide to. Pardon?
By social media, you mean? What do you mean? Which pages do you mean?
I'm saying Facebook, Instagram, because you post a lot of your photos, you post of yourself having a good time with your friends. And a narcissist kind of a husband, a narcissist kind of a wife, ex-husband or ex-wife, will follow you on those platforms. Will they want to see you happy? No. They want to see you stressed, depressed, not being in a very good space. And they will follow you. You know, I don't know if my friend, she's online today. I know of, sorry, if you're online today, Bestie, Paul, I'll use you as an example, but I won't mention your name. I will always say one thing is, most of the people tend to, like us men, I look at a bigger population of men whereby we are jealous. and we don't want to admit we are jealous. Okay? If I leave a woman and I see the woman, she's being treated well by another man, yet I did not treat her well,
Yeah.
I feel jealousy, because I become very jealous in the sense that I don't want to see you happy, because I need to be the only man making you happy.
Yeah.
Because you left me, I need to frustrate your life. And in that sense, you'll find that those men still, even whether you have left them, they still want to control your life. You know, they still want to control your life. So always try to do this. A man has a wife. He's happily married. He has a wife. He has this side chick. He has fathered a baby with that side chick. Are they officially married like a husband and wife? No. He ensures this side chick is not working. Then they come back and say that you can't be in a position to date someone else. This person, first of all, is not giving you all your sexual needs. He comes to your house once a week, maybe when he's high, or twice a week, okay? And then disappears. Okay? But he still has gone, he has friends in high offices that have cloned your phone. They can see everything on your phone. They can see all your Instagram status. If you block them, they come with pseudo accounts, you know, to check. Or rather, they follow your friends, because your friends will always post you where you are. Okay? So that's also a bigger issue. So always, as a lady, ask yourself, if you want to be a side chick, what are things that you can accommodate and you can't accommodate? If you want to be a side chick, then make that or number, and then let the guy make you an official lady. You know, be an official lady, whereby if the guy disappears, the wife can call you and ask you, hey, you know what, Majay, uja mwetu leo wako wapi? You know, because the wife knows, if this guy is not in my house, ameenda kwa side chick wake. Secondly, the other wife in the house where the guy goes on a day-to-day basis, then if you are a side chick, then the guy should ensure that there are no conflict of interest, whereby the other wife anakuja kukutafuta na kisu na nini. Why? Brings the friends to you to beat you up. Why? But at the same time, I say, what is your value as a woman? What is your value as a woman? When you understand your value as a woman, then please, I don't think you'll want even to be number two. You'll always want to be number one. Let's look at that, be able to really address it. Muna, what is your question? I dated a narcissist. He refused me to work, advised me to change my career. I can't meet my male cousins. Muna, you don't need to change your career because of a narcissist, please. Advise me how to dress. Thank God we broke up before marriage in November, and we were supposed to get married in December. How to what? To dress. Dress in terms of dressing, going for interviews, or dress. I don't get that.
I think it's
Advise
dress
me
in
how
general. Like she was restricted on what to dress.
Yo, Muna, sorry. For me, I say one thing. My dress, my choice. Okay? Unless you're going for interviews, you're going to your workplace. For your workplace as a lady, remember always, don't show too much of your body, man. You know, let someone always have those thoughts. Yeah, they can see your physical, beautiful you in a very beautiful dress, in a very beautiful pant, in a very beautiful shirt, a top dress or something. Let them feel like you're beautiful and preserve the rest for the person who deserves to see. But as I always say, my dress, my choice.
Yeah.
Professionally, wear decent. Some nice skirts, not the ones for our mothers that zilikuwa zinafika kwa toes kule chini Just wear something slightly. I think normally in our offices we always say something an inch just below the knee. Yeah, it depends. So depending also different workspaces also have their different dressing codes. So that one is also depending on where you are working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tunaingia kwa hoteli unaulizwa utakula nini? Unasema my name is Shiko Kibocha. What is that?
Oh my God. I think she's talking about the effects of living with a narcissist.
Oh.
I feel so bad about Ceci. I don't know.
No,
Don't know
she'll
how
be
we
she'll
can
be
help Ceci.
she'll, she'll be helped out because she needs help. We'll find a way on how to help her out.
Ceci, how would you like us to help you out? Talk to us. We have Daktari here.
Zile jobs za waitresses a money hotel. I think they're still active, eh?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay.
They are. I think I'll be having another session after this. We'll just take a break, lunch, and then come back. Then I can do the jobs after. Yeah.
Number 1,
There's a
number
lady.
2, number 6. What is that? Is number violence form number 1. Number 1 was physical. Number 2 was verbal. Number 6
All the same. I also don't understand. Yeah. There's a lady who asked Mwalimu, if you're a stay-at-home mom and your husband denies you assistance, or rather, not assistance, denies you money, is that abuse? And what could you do about it? Like you ask him for dinner and he says he doesn't have money. And you're a stay-at-home mom, you have no job and you have children. What would you do?
Even it was it last week or last week, but one Kotisha Pitisha, stay home moms needs to be paid by their husbands because you're working. You're working.
They're not working.
No, staying at home is work.
Oh, yes. Agreed.
You're working, so your husband needs to pay you.
Yes. But is that recognized in Kenya?
Yes, it's now passed in the court.
Okay.
So Ceci
So
says she
what?
needs the biggest plan for her right now is to get an opportunity for a job. Then she should be in a position to find everything on us because Ceci, how many kids do you have, and which kind of job would you like to get?
And what your academics? Let us
Yeah,
know.
because we always expect that if I don't know. But Nyawira, may I have a problem with the current breed of men that we are having. I call them the millennials, the 20th century boys, and because if someone who was born in let's say 2020, those are now 13 years. Someone was born in 1993, they're now 93, they're like no
23,
2000,
then
2003,
around 28, 30.
2003, they're now 20 years, yeah.
Yes.
So let's just say the people from the ages of 1995
Okay.
till now, I don't know how they operate. They are not they're not even, they're working, their wives are working, but they're still not providing for the family. They're not providing food in the houses.
Yeah. True.
They've been babied so much to an extent that there's nothing much they need to do. Then we have this breed of also men who have been born and raised in Nairobi. They're still, you marry a wife and you stay with the wife and your children in your mother's house.
Yes.
Please, style up, wake up from that. I think you're dreaming. Amka.
Yes. So I think Stacy says that she has front office experience. She didn't clear college, so she's looking for work. Right. So Stacy, the best advice would be take online courses. Just gain a skill, and they don't take long. You could only be engaged for about a week or even less. Get a certificate. Okay. Then share with me the CV. Share with me the CV. I'll work it out. Then let's see how we can help you out. Sawa. Let's see how we can help you out. But mentally, Daktari will address. Mentally, I think you need help as well. I'm not. Daktari is. So what do you think, Daktari?
Yeah. We'll see how best we can help out and try. I'll make some few calls and contact some people whereby she can be helped, because financial stability is also one of the key things that, as we had said, socioeconomic violence is what Ceci is experiencing, because someone taking advantage that she's not financially in a very good position to like walk away. And we really empathize with Ceci, and Ceci, we are with you, so don't you worry. I think we're in this together, and we shall figure out a solution out of it and see how best we can be able to make things move. Yeah.
We will. I'm a very emotional person. This topic I freeze at this topic. So, pole Ceci, pole. We'll figure out how to help you out. If I have your CV, get in touch with me after this. We'll pick it up. From her. But Daktari, what should be the follow-up episode be? What topic should we discuss? Because I think we did not address, we're here trying to assist Ceci, but I believe there are a billion of others, and within the country, could say million women going through the same thing. Where would they start being in such situation? And I think out of about maybe 4, you may have one going through the same. What advice would you give such women, and where would they start? Because I think there's no support. There's no proper support. Or that should be the next topic.
I think that will be our next topic, in terms of we look at the support around GBV.
Yeah.
What like we look at issues in terms of what is the government doing towards like generally, what is the government doing towards that? What is the society doing towards that? What are the UN agency doing towards that? And be able to also ask ourselves, if I'm in this and I need to get out, what are the steps to take?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. That should form. When should that be? What do you think? Next week?
Today's on Friday. We can do it next week.
Next week,
Okay,
Wednesday?
I think we can do. We can see if we can do sessions on Tuesday and Friday.
Yay!
Yeah.
Ndo maana nakupenda. Thank you so much. Oh my God, let me ask Daktari, because I may be falling, I may be, I don't know, I may be violating people. When I talk to people, I tell them I love you most of the time. Is that violation?
Not really, but telling someone I love you is just an expression of telling someone I appreciate you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know. All right, let's see what they're saying. Have Millie Nelima. I'm just trying to read their comments. I think just trying to support Ceci. Right, sawa sawa. So do you have any queries for Daktari just before we end this? My plan is we have lunch and pick it back at 2:30, and we can read some jobs and then stop. We begin again tomorrow.
Pole sana
Kesho.
Nelima. All will be well, and always at times it's difficult. And if you have a family support system in terms of you still have your parents, you still have your brothers and sisters, you need to look for someone that you can lean on, someone that can give you a shoulder to cry on, because your partner who you are supposed to give you the shoulder to cry on is not there for you. Then you need to look for another alternative. Yeah. And please, if you are here, let's follow each other and see how best we can be able to do this. I'm seeing 62 people here. Let's follow each other. And when we started, we were around 90. Shipo Kibocha says you wouldn't want to know how many women are wearing says shoes. Ni vile hatuna wa kuambia. I know very well. There's so many people outside there who are crying and in silence and really, really getting that beating in terms of I don't have a place to go. I don't have a room to go and hide in. You feel like you like the earth just to open up and submerge yourself in it and cover yourself. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you look at it and ask yourself, what else can I do? So let's see how best we can be able to move on. And yeah, I believe that can be one of the key things that we can really do that. So that's important. That's very, very important. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So with that, and now that there are no more questions, Pole sana Nelima, I missed that. So we pick it up from Tuesday, 10:30. Daktari,
Yeah.
10:30. 10:30. Tuesday, 10:30. So let's keep supporting each other. If you need any help, reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to Daktari. Make sure you follow Daktari, all right? Make sure you follow him up. I've been cutting onions since you've been addressing me, manze. Oh, Shiko. Shall be well. You've got the best advice. Wow. Shiko, you also going through the same? Is Shiko going through the same? Because I missed that. But what does she mean? I've been cutting onions since you've been addressing me, manze. Oh, all right.
Yes, Lorraine Precious. Yesterday, yeah, we had Salsa. We're having discussions on the grants, and if you've missed the session, I think there's a link on Nyawira's YouTube channel. You can be able to literally have a look at that and listen to it, and be able to get some free advice around the grants and get to know much about it.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at my eyes are red because I'm crying from the inside. These topics are emotional for me. I may be a strong person on other areas, but these topics, man, it's gonna take courage and time. Tough. Daktari, I love the way you address it so easily. Huh?
Having seen, I tell people I've been as an invisible spectator in when I was a child. I used to run through a very little window in our house when I think I was in class 1 or class 2 or something.
Yeah.
But I had an
Yeah.
advantage because my grandmother used to stay 400 meters away from us. So I used to jump through a window with my boxer. Like literally, I was naked because the only thing I had was a boxer. So I jumped through the window, I fall out of the house, jump the gate, fall out of the compound, and run as I'm crying and screaming. One day I met these the night thieves. They're going, I think they're going to do a break-in a house. That was the third time I've met those thieves at night. So this day they stopped me on the road and they asked me, "Where this little boy going?" Uh, Where this little boy going? So they held my hand and carried me. They walked with me till my grandmother's house. And they asked my grandma, huyu mtoto hii ni mara ya tatu, tafadhali mwekeni mtoto kwa nyumba, atauliwa huku nje na wezi. So my grandmother was like, but pia hawa ni wezi. But so it's something I've handled it over time, and it hasn't been an easy time and easy. So I had to let go quite a number of things in my past so that I can be happy myself, because I look at those aspects and ask everyone that it happened. Yeah, I can't live that life. I can be a different person. I don't need to be that person. What I saw. Then the other thing is, the person who was doing that, is he still alive? No. So why should I hold a grudge on someone who went to be with our maker? You need to learn, forgive, learn from the past, and create a very clear path for yourself, clear path for your children, and be happy. So it's a very important time in life whereby always happiness, being happy, being at peace, and everything else you just tend to understand. That's why for me, I look at it in a different kind of aspect where people needs to learn and accept who they are, what they are going through, be able to speak and ask where you need help, ask, seek interventions, seek help. I think, and just help out, and also be in a position to explain what exactly is happening to your life, what exactly you would like to see changes in. And that one really helps a lot to people. Yeah. So it's life, man. It's life. It's life. Yeah. Sure. You're saying much. Next time, we'll try and add those who have been able to go through the same position and be able to, so that they can share their story. And yeah. Agi, homie girl, Daktari, do you mind giving us about your professional background? Yo, where were you? I created my professional background Agi. Kitambo, mama.
Mwambie tu. Ama watch YouTube. Unaonaje?
Agi, unataka nikutumia CV? Nikuandikie CV?
But at least ameleta shift kidogo. We are smiling now.
Ameleta shift kidogo. So I tell people, crying is sorry. It also catches me up at times. I tear up kidogo. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's I'm from a medical background. I've done my biomedicine, public health, epidemiology, MSc, double masters as public health, and MSc in pharmacogenomics, and a PhD in tropical medicine. So, and I have an IT higher diploma from MIT, and quite a number of personal professional courses, and I do a lot of stuff in terms of policy issues, health stuff, governance issues, setting up IT systems, tracking of the donor funds, drafting of proposal grants. So I'm within a very big, broad spectrum in terms of what I do myself. And apart from that, I'm a proud father to my two beautiful girls, and I do a lot of farming myself. Mina ule mkulima wa Nairobi, but I do a little bit of farming, which is keeps me busy. Yeah.
Yeah. And above all, tuseme tuweke God mbele, si ndio? Tuombe tu
Yes, let's
Oh,
pray.
sorry.
Let's
Right.
pray.
Thank you for that. Thank you for introducing yourself. I have Sally who's asking, kumbe men cry. Hata sijui tamwambia nini.
Yes. We all cry, Mama. We all cry. Remember, all of us when we were born. Now we had to. We cried first when we got out of our
Yeah.
comfort zone in our mother's wombs. Eh?
Yeah.
Our first thing we did when we came on this earth was a cry. The cry was a sign that you're alive and you're healthy. Your lungs are full of air. You know.
Yes. Then you're normal.
Yeah.
Then you're normal. All right. So we had J Diddy here, and I remember her mentioning that she went through the same, and she left, and she's doing much better. Are you still here, J Diddy? Maybe if you're comfortable to tell us your story next time, Tuesday. People here asking if they can get people who went through the same, just like you, Daktari, and managed, and you're doing much better right now. So I don't know if JDD is here. Was there any other person who mentioned that they went through the same? I only remember JDD. Yeah.
Topic na Muna.
Muna alisema alipitia ama alisema nini? I think alisema alipitia pia. Muna
Yeah.
pia.
The mom pulled out of it and now they're happy.
Yes. Muna pia utatupatia story yako Tuesday. Ken. Let's see who'll be comfortable. Anyone here who'll be comfortable to give their story?
Tumetoa topics za kuna GBV support and how to heal from GBV. So yeah, we have a topic for Tuesday.
Yes. How to heal and maybe have a few people. Let's hope we find some people who can give us the experience on that day. Sijui kama mwalimu anataka kutupatia experience yake.
My experience is it's a long because it's a long one because recently me I was laughing because me I know everything about the life, so apparently my Kaliro sister didn't know anything, so so I know I had to really help her to come through. So she even blocked me for quite a number of years, for like almost 2-3 years now. So she unblocked me recently. So now we can at least we can chat a little bit because
Yeah.
of those issues. Yeah, so it's always a very sensitive place for people to speak. So I know very few will be able to speak about it.
That's true. That's true.
I guess says she did public health.
If we do find people to give us their story, we'll have them here on that day. If we don't, it's still okay. So yeah. Wow. How should we end this, Daktari? Mi nakuachia umalize. Me, I'm an emotional right now.
Jedidi amesema atatupatia story ama amesemaje?
Hajajibu bado. I think vile umesema it's a bit sensitive. I don't know. Hajanipatia jibu.
Amesema tu we
Muna hana courage. Okay.
no, it's okay. We will pick quite a number because I'll give you quite a number of personal experiences and from my childhood when I was young and from a relationship that I had after my separation and divorce,
Yeah.
which was it was a very sweet relationship for a start, and then just things took a 360 turn, So by the time even getting out, and the problem is a loving man is very rare to find. A loving man and respectful man is very rare to find. And when you break those people, it takes time for them to heal up fully because they look at everyone as this person going to hurt me, this person is going to do this to me, because you don't know what these other things people were doing in terms of like cheating or and that's for me, I try and tell people most of the time, instead of being abusive or emotional, because
Mm.
being sexually involved with a lady, it creates an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
And when it creates an emotional attachment and you suddenly break it up, you have created an emotional torture to that person.
Yeah.
So it's always very clear when everyone gets involved in any relationship, you need to be very clear and tell yourself, what do I need in this relationship? You
Mm.
know, from that point, you will feel like you're emotionally being abused.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, have I gone through physical abuse? Yes. Have I gone through emotional abuse? Yes. Have I gone through verbal abuse? Yes. Have I gone through socioeconomic abuse? No. And you can imagine physical, verbal, emotional abuse from one person,
Yeah.
you know, and this is a
Mm.
person whereby you're expecting that, oh, from this relationship of mine, I've had this is what happened to me, blah blah. Now I'm out of it. I'm getting into another relationship. Then you get into that relationship and find those three forms of abuse, and someone
Yeah.
take advantage of your generosity and your sweetness and your kindness.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't help so much. So we can be able to look at that and just discuss and be able to see where we are, where do we sit. Then we'll be able to see, hopefully, uh, we have Didi, Muna will gain courage, Sally will gain courage, and see how best we can be able to just work around it, and hopefully, God willing, be able to make things work right and have very, very happy sessions yeah, in the long run. So that is what is important. Very, very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Mm. And we have Nemo Terry, who's
Yeah.
very bold. She says she's willing to share her story. So Nemo Terry, please share with me your number after this. You can inbox me, and we'll plan on this. We'll plan on this. Yeah. So probably we also get some more people, but with daktari kila kitu iko sawa,
No,
I believe.
yeah, anasema yeye she's not. I've gone through the same, but I don't have the courage to speak out. Nemu says,
Let me
Nemu,
see.
don't
Let me
worry, mommy.
see.
You'll get the courage. You'll get the courage. It's time. It's just
Mm,
time. Time will give you the opportunity to be able to, yeah, and try and look at things
mm,
in a different way. Yeah.
yeah,
But all said and done, always take heart, and we need to find ourselves in the spaces whereby we speak up. You know,
yeah,
we speak up. There's always something. Let me just get either certain kidogo tu.
today is cutting onions. Leo ningesema
Mhm.
tubebe, so next time you know what to do. Come with your tissues, handkerchiefs, hot water. Where? Okay, this is tough. This is a tough one. If you don't
Mhm.
have the courage to say chat you the story, then you share it with us. Oh yeah, yeah. Why not? That's something that we can consider. You know,
Yep.
when Daktari and I thought of GBV in my head, I was looking
Mm.
at it from, I think I'm wired in a certain way. I just think of the office. So in my head, my boss is banging the table. So I was aligned towards that direction. So when it turned and now it's home, man,
Mm.
yeah, it's a whole
It's funny.
turnaround for me.
Yeah. So what I wish to tell everyone is simple. gender-based violence won't end. It won't end based on because of the, you know, you revenged, you lied,
Yeah.
because of hypocrisy,
Mm.
double standards. But it will only end when we speak the truth always, doing what is right, and the law doing what is right without fear or favor.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
what I want you to think of. And lastly, for all those sisters and brothers going through difficult time in your families, in your relationships, in your marriage, choose to live by choosing to live.
Mm.
Choose to live by choosing to live.
Mm.
Chagua maisha kwa sababu umechagua kuondoka
Mm.
kwa hiyo abusive space you are in.
Yeah.
Don't wait to be killed, please. That is my ending parting shots. Thank you.
All right. I'm ending this. I'm
Someone is
ending
saying,
this.
a friend of mine from, I think from campus or something. Where are you, Carol or Yugi? Are you on this live and you haven't commented or chatted anything?
What?
Carol, thank you so much for your WhatsApp message.
Nyakondo, me here. Nyakodumo. You said me here. What do you mean?
No. She's my friend. She's the one who sent me my WhatsApp message. I'm just telling her thank you.
All right. All right.
Thank you, Carol. It's been a minute, man. Umepotelea wapi mama? Nataka uninunulie kahawa ama uninunulie mimi ndo nakununulia kahawa, mwendo unanunulia kahawa, Carol.
So I think daktari amemaliza.
Mimi nimemaliza and I just wish everyone a very beautiful weekend as you get into your weekend. For those whom will meet in Nakuru tomorrow, let's meet in Nakuru tomorrow for a hockey match.
Oh. Okay. Mbona nataka kunifanya nisikie vibaya?
Twende.
Kwa hii desk on a live here. On the live.
Twende.
Yeah, nitakuwa kwa live tu hapa. So I think yeah, I should be back in the afternoon. I'm not sure what time. I think can we agree at man? I'm wondering what time makes sense. All right, 2:30, 2:33. Let's do it at 3 p.m. Then I'll share the jobs available. Ruth will be with me, so we'll share the jobs available. Then we meet again kesho. Iko sawa? 3. You guys are in agreement.